So with your fingers, just count down like we're starting, yeah.
5, 4, 3.
Hello, folks, and thank you for joining us at KRTS and KXWT. These are your public radio stations. I am Jason Kolker, and today we are speaking with Jackson Wisdorf, and he is an employee here at the station. We're sticking close to home, and he is a fascinating guy. I hope you enjoy this. Jackson is also going to be engineering the very same interview that he is participating in. So, Jackson, thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Yeah, this is really this is fun to do two things at once right now.
Exactly, and be paid very little for it.
Public radio, you got to love it, right?
Jackson, this is something of what I would call a cold interview, in that I normally try to do a little bit of research on someone. In your case, I'm just so thrilled to get to talk to you because I think you're a great guy and you've done an amazing job here at the station. But I don't know a lot about your history. So let's start off with, where are you coming from and why would you come all the way out here to Marfa, Texas?
Yeah, so I mean, I guess if we want to start at the beginning, it all started in 1991. That's when I was born. Mm-hmm. Born in Plano, Texas, a suburb outside of Dallas, just north of Dallas. I'm sure a lot of people know where that is. And grew up in Plano, have an older sister. My parents are both from Minnesota. Actually, myself and my sister are the only Texans in the entire Wisdorf line. So grew up in Texas, but with a sort of Minnesota charm to it, in a suburb, and moved to Lubbock after I graduated high school in Plano, and then graduated from Texas Tech, and then ended up here.
Where is Texas Tech?
Lubbock, Texas.
Okay, well,
just south of Amarillo.
My experience with the United States, having traveled around, tells me that you have enjoyed life in two of the most polite states in all the United States, which are Minnesota and Texas.
Very true, very true.
How long has your family, the Wisdorfs, been in the United States of America?
Both of my parents were actually first generation American citizens. My dad's side of the family, the Wisdorf side of the family, came from Germany. Mm-hmm. And my mom's side of the family came from Sweden.
Okay, so we've gotten to Texas Tech. Now let's get to Marfa, Texas. What brings you out here?
So after I graduated from from college, I kind of went through a thing that I realized a lot of people go through, which is it's very difficult to find a job in the degree that you pursue. That is at least if, I wasn't the best student of all time, I'll admit. But it's really hard. And so when I first started out at Texas Tech, I was an advertising major. I was going to get a minor in marketing, was really business focused. And then after my sophomore year, freshman year I did good. Sophomore year I kind of went a little bit crazy, and it didn't turn out well. I actually ended up failing out of Texas Tech, and took a year off. Moved back to Plano and took a year off, and during my time, kind of had some time to gather my thoughts and realized that I didn't really want to do advertising. It was just not. It wasn't fun. I kind of had this facade, this image of it, and I thought it was, it'd be really cool. You can use your creative side, but it kind of turned out not to be so. And so when I went back, I guess I should actually say this before. My mom had a little background in radio. She worked at her college radio station at the University of Minnesota, and she was a music director there. And so I would talk to her, and she always had all these really cool stories about her time behind the scenes, and going in this was in the late '60s to early '70s. Doing all these cool things and all these cool experiences. So when I came back, I found out that Texas Tech had a university radio station. So I just tried it out, and I fell in love with it. And so I kind of ran with it from there.
Okay, well, if the interview slows down towards the end, we'll get back to your definition of crazy in your sophomore year, because I'm sure that will liven us up.
Oh, yeah, that could be an entire 30-minute episode on its own.
But you bring up 2 points which kind of fascinate me, which is that in our United States of America society, it's frequently assumed or predicated on getting a job that your school history somehow will reflect how you do in the job world. And from my point of view, how you do in school really just demonstrates how well you will do in school. And in fact, if you do great in school, I would advise you staying there forever and just getting a PhD and staying in school for 30 years if you can.
Oh yeah, I mean, I definitely agree with that. And I mean, I never disliked school. I've always been a fan of learning new things. I try to learn something new every day, as cheesy as that sounds. But when I started doing radio, I switched my major from advertising to electronic media and communications, and that's what I ended up getting my bachelor's degree in.
I'm guessing, I'm cutting you off here because I'm going to take an emotional chance here. I'm guessing just because the incredible optimism and energy that I see in you, that when you failed out in your sophomore year, that must have just been so discouraging that was almost a life realignment.
Oh yeah, man. Definitely. And I mean, I remember the day that it happened, actually. Mm-hmm. So I had returned. It was from the spring semester of my sophomore year, and I was in Plano. I was back at my parents' house. It was summer. I had nothing to do. I wasn't taking summer classes or anything like that. And I remember getting an email from the university telling me that I had failed out. Mm-hmm. Essentially, more or less. There was a lot more words in the email, but it was crushing, and I had this really strange, just kind of like self-awareness at that moment of wow, I was having a lot of fun, and I got warned that this could happen if I didn't do what I was supposed to do, and it kind of all hit me at once, and at that moment it was a real, I really have to change this and do something that I can, one, enjoy, and two, excel at.
Okay, well, let's move past the AA portion of the interview.
It wasn't that bad, I promise.
No, I understand. But listen, some point at Texas Tech, you heard there's a place called Marfa, Texas. It's small.
Actually, no. So I had heard of Marfa before. When I was younger, my family had driven through Marfa once, but I was 5 years old. It was a really, really long time ago. So I knew what Marfa was, but I kind of put it in the back of my mind because, I wasn't really thinking about it. I didn't know what Marfa really was. I just remember, hey, I might have driven through when I was really young.
Okay, so you knew the Marfa existed, but then again, you probably, if you'd driven through, you probably thought it was too small to have a significant radio station, as many people do. But I found that the reputation for coolness that Marfa has people applying to lots of its foundations and, of course, the radio station. Was that the situation with you as well?
No, not at all. Because like I said, I kind of put Marfa in the back of my head. I knew it was a place that existed. I knew it was in far west Texas. I knew it was really close to the border. But other than that, I didn't know anything about it. And so so let's time jump a little bit ahead. So I graduated from Texas Tech, renewed myself, electronic media and communication, came right off of it, working at my college radio station for all of the years since my return to Lubbock, and I knew that this was what I wanted to do, right? And so when I first started, I started applying for jobs, actual employment, and I was having zero luck with it. I thought I was on top of the world. I did in my time at my university radio station, I think I did probably 15 different shows in 3 years. I was a music director. I was interim production director. I knew how to audio edit. I knew how to do all of this stuff. And so when I'm coming out of graduation, I'm flying really high. I'm I'm going to find a job. It's going to be really easy. But needless to say, I found out that it was very difficult. And so I was applying for all these jobs and not getting them, and just rejection letter after rejection letter. And then I kind of want to add to this point, the worst is not a rejection letter. The worst is just no response back at all.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yes.
Okay, that's good to know.
Yeah, so that's the worst one. I went through that a bunch. And then, I started talking to friends that I graduated with the same degree, and they were saying, well, it may not seem very difficult to get a job at these stations or whatever you want to do. I mean, friends that were working in TV and in radio and in print, and they all said the same thing. Apply for an internship, try to find an internship, and then just go from there. get that experience at an actual station, because the public radio stations that are out there, commercial stations, they're not looking at kids that are coming straight out of college, even though they might have been fantastic. I'm not calling myself fantastic, I'm not gloating, but like at their college radio station, they're looking for people that have experience in the industry. So I applied for internship at Marfa Public Radio, got it, came down here with Marfa in the back of my mind, but not knowing what it was. And here I am now.
Okay, here you are now. Well, first things first, my guess is that companies that are in it for the money, believe what I kind of asserted before, which is that school proves how good you are at school, but we want to see how good you are at the job, and we'd rather not risk it with us right here, right now. So you come to Marfa, you're an intern. Here is the colossal Marfa question, at least as far as all of these foundations are concerned, which is, what is it like, frankly, to be an intern here in Marfa, which is a place which thrives on intern labor, intern enthusiasm and energy, and also interns, frankly, falling in love with the town and coming back and setting up their own portion or their own entrepreneurship in the town that lasts for many more years than the internship ever would have. So what is this like? By the way, let's clarify now, you are no longer an intern. You're an
no
employee.
longer an intern. I am employed by the station. Hosting All Things Considered. The way that I viewed it, and this is kind of like, this is through firsthand experience, is when you first come into town, a lot of the times I got the feeling that people didn't want to kind of make relationships with you because they know you're going to be gone in 4 to 6 months.
I've heard that, and that just gives me such a tragic feeling for these people who are so emotionally fragile that they are afraid that someone will leave them.
It's weird, right? I mean, and I'm not saying that was everyone, but I mean, you could definitely, I mean, I've heard from other people that have been interns in this town too. I mean, the same thing. But I mean, yeah, it's that kind of like, that insecurity that like you don't want to establish a relationship with someone or become like too good of friends with someone because they may be gone in 4 months, in 6 months.
Let me switch gears then. I've heard from the work side, that is the less kind of emotional side, that Marfa is a great place to intern because it's so small that you end up doing everything and learning a bit of everything, whether you're working for a foundation or for the radio station. Did you have that experience?
Oh, yeah, without a doubt. When I was living in Lubbock, I was a student. I worked at the radio station, and I mean that was pretty much it. You know, I mean I had a social life and all of that, but you know when I came to Marfa, there was all these things that I found out about myself after living here, and I mean the fact people always friends of mine that have like barely ever heard of Marfa or like. I tell them that I'm living in Marfa. They're like, oh well, like what are you like? What's it like living there? And one of the ways I like to explain it is, if you don't mind like a convenience factor of 0, then you can live here and you can really enjoy the hell out of it. You can love this town, but you know you can't if you're too reliant on things, too reliant on going out to eat all the time, or too reliant on a huge excess of shows and fun things to go to. Like if you're living in a city, you won't really like it, because when you get here, it's kind of the harsh reality. When you get here, there's really, I mean, you have to kind of make it your own, you know.
Let's take a moment to remind people that we are focusing on Marfa because we are interviewing someone who's moved to Marfa Public Radio in the small town. But in truth, we are West Texas Public Radio. We serve everyone all the way from Fort Stockton to Van Horn to Sierra Blanca. Jackson, using your acquired radio skills, why don't you remind them what they're listening to and who they are speaking with?
You are listening to West Texas Talk, your nightly interview program on West Texas Public Radio and Marfa Public Radio. Radio for a wide range, from the border to the basin. You can add in whatever little tidbits you'd like.
So you're here. I thought you did a bang-up job, which is part of the reason why I'm speaking to you now. The second half is that you stuck around and you managed to turn it into a job, which is tough. Do you know any other interns or many other interns who've done the same thing?
Well, you know, right now, currently, as it stands right now, we have 3 former interns on the staff. Myself, who just hired on about a month and a half ago, Sarah Melanson and Travis Bubinik were both former interns as well.
Right.
So I mean, of the small staff, we have 3 are former interns. So I think that says a lot.
And yeah, it does. And let's get into a little bit of radio esoterica. You guys are learning, among many, many other things, you're learning one incredibly marketable skill, which is not as easy as it sounds. And so I'd love to investigate it. NPR's All Things Considered or Morning Edition.
Yeah, so they're news magazines. So if you would ask Travis Bubinik the same question, he would probably have a pretty similar answer. But I mean, yeah, it's a nationally syndicated show with a local host. So what they're trying to make the listener like think is
you're acting. You are an actor trying to pretend that you are in the same room as these guys in Washington, D.C. or New York.
Yeah, definitely. It's supposed to make listeners think that they're talking about like the area that they're in while they're listening to a nationally syndicated show, right? So you have, it'll be reports from around the world, from around the United States, and then it'll be a break, and then it will be a report from Marfa, or from Midland, or from Odessa, or from Sanderson, which we just reported on earlier today. And it gives the listener that opportunity and that chance to think, you know what, like, this is happening here. Like, I don't know. I can't really explain it all the way, I guess.
No, I think you did a good job. And it is actually a marketable skill. You can take it to other radio markets. But it's just always makes me laugh when I listen to All Things Considered or Morning Edition that it feels as seamless as it does, because it is anything but that. Mm-hmm. It's taking place across huge broadcast areas with different people who've never met each other. You went on, I shouldn't say progressed, because it's not necessarily a progression, but another thing that you do is a radio show. Well, go ahead. Tell us about the radio show.
Yeah, well, I'm on 2 other shows besides All Things Considered, the Monday through Friday afternoon hosting. I do a new music show with Sarah Melanson on Tuesday nights called No Country for Old Music. Mm-hmm. Focuses on extremely new music. We try to keep it as current as possible. Usually, some of the songs we play are released 2 or 3 hours before the show.
Now, I know you're a younger man than I am. If I use words like hipster in indie, are these bad words in your lexicon?
No, because I don't consider myself a hipster.
Does anyone?
I guess the term. I don't know. I feel like the ones that do aren't super vocal about it, because it's kind of a derogatory term in the sense that
what about indie?
Such a hipster.
Forget hipster. What about indie?
I mean, I feel like indie is a totally relevant word to use, because I mean, if you're talking about the music that, especially that we play on like No Country for Old Music, it's independently released music, indie music, you know. And so I don't think there's anything bad with it. Use the word hipster as much as you want. Friends of mine have called me a hipster when I started growing out a beard and like started.
It's that easy.
My hair. Yeah, it's super easy. You know, you wear flannel one time and you're a hipster all of a sudden.
Okay, I cut you short. Tell me about the next show.
Okay, so Tuesday night, No Country for Old Music, super new, freshly released music. We like to say the freshest tunes in Far West Texas. Wednesday nights, I started a show back in, when was it? It was in April of 2016. So it's pretty fresh. It hasn't been going for, even half a year. And it's called The Midnight Snack. Wednesday nights at 11 p.m. to 1 a.m. So it's a definite late night show. And it's just a hodgepodge of music that I'm listening to at the current time. I like to play like comedy bits, especially from like Kids in the Hall and stuff like that. It's just in between music to do that. And then I started it as kind of like a community radio project, right? So when I first started the show, the goal was every single week to have somebody new in the studio with me, so I could give that person the opportunity to do the radio show that they've always wanted to like hear, so they could play the music that they love on the radio station that they listen to, but they may not hear that music all the time.
I was asking about the radio shows because I'm personally really impressed by it's one thing to do a radio show with great knowledge, and a lot of us do, but you have great enthusiasm, and you bring a love for music that is infectious. That said, let's move on to this last part of the show. It's kind of a new format idea, which is why don't you pick a couple songs, explain what you like about them, and then we'll talk through them and learn about you and the music that you like so much that way.
Oh, yeah. And I got to say, I love this segment. I think it's amazing. It's an awesome segment. And I have one ready right now. I knew that if I had to pick one song, that this would be it.
Let it roll.
So, yeah, here we go. Let me go ahead and start it.
She was a level-headed dancer on the road to alcohol, and I was just a soldier on the way to my...
Jackson, feel free to talk us through it at any point you want.
Yeah, so this is a song that I grew up listening to and an album that I grew up listening to. My mom is probably the world's biggest John Prine fan of all time. Mm-hmm. So needless to say, this album played a lot, and I think it kind of taught me from a young age when I first listened to the song that, every once in a while you have to kind of just, drop off the map and kind of do your own thing. Don't feel pressured by what other people and what society as a whole wants from.
Is that
from
a little
you.
bit of what your Marfa stay is like?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. And it's definitely, I mean, that message, especially the message in this song and the one that I just said, has definitely been reflected in my time in Marfa. When I first came out here, it can relate literally to one. I threw away my TV. I didn't have a TV when I was first out here. And, just a lot of self-reflection and, a lot of time taken just to kind of find out who I was and what I really wanted to do.
Let's let John Prine finish off.
Build you a home, plant a little garden, eat a lot of peaches, try and find Jesus on your own. Well, I was young and hungry and about to leave that place when just as I was leaving,
were your parents hippies?
I think you could definitely say that. Mm-hmm. They definitely traveled around a lot, very sporadically throughout the country. My dad was a kind of a rambling, roving ski instructor in his younger days. He did a lot of couch surfing through Wyoming and Montana and the western United States. And we talked about my mom being a college radio DJ, so she definitely had some really cool experiences. And growing up in that time, is definitely an experience well worth it. So yeah, I think it's safe to say that my parents were hippies.
Cool. That's a short song, right?
Yes, very short song.
Give us another song. Do a 15-second intro and we'll talk us through it as it happens.
Yeah, so this is a track from a band that I must say is probably my favorite contemporary music act at this point in time. A band from San Francisco called the OCs. This is a track called Minotaur.
So one question. Well, you can start Minotaur off, and that's OHSE.
It's THEEVOHSEES.
Should I conclude anything from the fact that your first two songs kind of have 60s derivatives to them? One is kind of folky and one is kind of psychedelic.
Oh yeah, well, if you ask for my humble opinion, I think the best music ever made it was from the mid to late 1960s. That's definitely my favorite type of music. When psychedelic rock and garage rock and everyone was starting bands and everyone had a kind of a do-it-yourself attitude when it came to making things. I think that's I definitely agree with that.
Right, and using any type of friends to describe the experiences that you've had with this song, what would you say your friends' experiences were with them?
I definitely had a friend who had I'm just going to be honest. I had a very, very good experience with this song when I was, not in I guess I can say not a particularly sober state of mind.
Sure.
And it really struck a chord with me, this song. Most of the music by this band is very heavy, very fast, and there's something about this one and the lyrical content in it. I think I really agree with it most because I think a lot of people have been through what this song talks about, which is, the name of the song is Minotaur, and it focuses the story through a Minotaur who lives in a maze, and he does the same things every day, same routine every day, and one day just gets really sick of it and, starts to do something else because he personally just can't keep up with the monotony of the lifestyle.
I see that as a little bit of what you were saying about John Prine, just a different flavor of the same thing.
Mm-hmm. You know what? It definitely is.
Let's listen.
Each day, I take my meals here, I sleep in the maze. La, la, la. Men get sick at their work each and every day. There ain't no cure but to stay home today, go to the beach instead. And their dreams in their heads, cannot be found in the maze, or so they say. La 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 la.
Just hearing this psychedelic thing, this is something I'm not familiar with, kind of neo-psychedelia, but it occurs to me that this stuff is seen as kind of campy, perhaps now, but all psychedelic music in the 60s, and perhaps the neo stuff too, comes from people's really deep experiences, real numinous experiences, and it's interesting that the musical translation of that can be used for just having fun or whatever, but it usually comes from someplace fairly deep.
Oh yeah, definitely. And I mean, I think in the way that it's used in Minotaur and the way that it was used, that John Prine used it in Spanish Pipe Dream, I think vastly different, yet are, pretty similar in theme in the end.
Yeah. Now, that's over now, or is there going to be a
that's okay. It. There's just those eerie strings taking it out at the end.
Do we have time for a third one?
Yeah, I believe so. The first song that we heard, John Prine, was heavily influenced by my mom, but this last one's heavily influenced by my dad, and it's Wilson Pickett.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's in the midnight hour. It's really funny to explain to people how my dad, who was a white guy from rural Litchfield, Minnesota, was probably the biggest Wilson Pickett fan of all time.
Well, you know what? That's kind of the micro story of the macro story, which is the whole United States was mostly white people, and they mostly loved Wilson Pickett and all soul music. Mm-hmm. So let's give it a roll.
Oh, yeah.
When there's no one else around, I'm gonna take you, girl, and hold you, and do all the things I told you in the midnight hour. Yes, I am. Oh, yes, I am. One more thing I just wanna say right here. I'm gonna wait till the stars come out and see that twinkle in your eyes.
Jackson, we were just talking about, and let's do a bit of another song after this because we have some time. We were just talking about the playing on Midnight Hour that made it sound so vital. And you had a comment, or we all did, but voice it for us.
Oh yeah, done. I mean, in a way, extremely simple, but just done so well. And I think that kind of harkens to a lot of the music of that age. What we did, it was 1965 when that song was out. And yeah, it's just that one, another one, just like that John Prine song. I grew up listening to it, and it was just it was always there.
I wonder, is there a place for you and the stuff you do, the stuff you like, from everything from the food you eat to the work you do, that you just like basic and simple as long as it's done perfectly? Is that an element of you?
Oh yeah. I still to this day like believe this is a really weird analogy, but I think the best food is simple. I think the best things in life are simple. It's just all about how much you can appreciate them.
Yeah. So Midnight Hour is a few ingredients, but they're like absolutely the freshest you can get.
Yeah, it's like it's like a hamburger, but it's made with like Kobe beef and rock salt. It's like it's just like prime things done simply, but done just so well.
Let's take 3 minutes more time, so you can fade something out if you want to, but give us a 15-second intro of something you like, and we'll talk through it.
Yeah, so this is one that I really, really enjoy. This is one of the guys that really got me into enjoying hip hop. I'm a big fan of hip hop, a big fan of underground rap, and this guy is the one who like helped me like understand it and really, really get into it. MF Doom with a track called "Rhymes Like Dimes."
Let's go. Do I hear, by the way, an echo of Mr. Wisdorf, who loved Wilson Pickett in the 60s, and Jackson Wisdorf, who loves, what's this guy's name?
MF Doom.
MF Doom.
But yeah, I think so. I think listening to all of that music when I was growing up, it really, again, it struck a chord that, and it's something about it. I mean, I love the way that MF Doom, he uses old soul and funk samples. This has a Quincy James sample in it. Quincy Jones, sorry. And it's just, I don't know. I heard of this guy when I was 2007. I was a freshman going into my sophomore year of high school, and it blew my mind.
Let's let him roll. See what it says.
Never seen this shit again, but he's still my dunny. The only thing that come between us is krill and money. I sell rhymes like dimes. The one who mostly keep cash and brag about the broken times. Better rhymes make for better songs, and bad as not if you got a lot of what it takes just to get along. Surrender now, so for serious setbacks. Got get back, connects, wet back, get stacks. Even if you got to get jet black, head to toe to get the dough. Battle for bottles of Mo or Dro. This fly flow take practice like Tybo with Billy Blanks. Oh, you're too kind, really thanks. To the corner lost forever like, oh my darling Clementine. He hold his heart when he tellin' rhyme. When it's his time, I hope his soul go to heaven. He nasty like the old time, old number 7. You still taste it when you chase it with the Coca-Cola. Make them wish they could erase it out the bowl.
What makes you like this more than a bunch of other rappers out there?
I think it's just the way that he, I don't know. I like the way that he says words, as weird as that sounds. But no, just very clever. I love, maybe not necessarily in this song, but there's references to comics and animated TV shows that I was a big fan of growing up. So I think it was just the whole amalgamation of everything that he makes. I just really enjoyed it.
You obviously you play music on the radio. Do you make music with musical instruments and that kind of stuff?
Yeah, I taught myself how to play bass and a little bit of guitar, but mostly bass. And I think it harkens back to when I played the OCs, that type of music, that garage rock, punk rock. That's all I play, just because I love it. It's a stress reliever.
It's slamming, I know.
It's very easy to just sit down and plug in the bass and turn the amp on and then just play for an hour, and then whatever you were worried about or concerned about just disappears.
Hey, Jackson, you are a Marfa Public Radio employee, Jackson Wisdorf. Why don't you do the sign-off for us? We're running out of time, but this has been a great interview, and I love learning about people this way, because
well-
I think this is actually more revelatory than just having given the story, you know?
I think so too, and thanks for having me in. You guys have been listening to West Texas Talk on your public radio stations in West Texas, Marfa Public Radio and West Texas Public Radio. Jason Kolker in here talking to myself, Jackson Wisdorf. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you enjoyed the show. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.